A look at a series of negative headlines that have managed to extend Bitcoin's New Year slump. The Indian government, the latest, and we've got a member of the ECB's governing council, all having a look at cryptocurrencies with skepticism. Meanwhile, Facebook banned Bitcoin advertising earlier this week. Our cross-asset reporter is Eric Lam. Well, everybody wants to know this. Nobody really knows the answer, but what are you being told as to where Bitcoin goes next?
Well, as you say, there's a really broad range of expectations for what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And that kind of goes to the underlying issue of, people have never really figured out exactly how to value Bitcoin. But, I was talking to somebody yesterday who thinks it can go, from here down to $5,000, $6,000 and then back up to $10,000, $15,000. That's a pretty broad range. If you think about this as any other asset, in the last month and a half, it's dropped 50% of its value. That's more than a correction. That's a lot more than a correction. So, but for long-term investors of Bitcoin, they say this is par for the course. On the other hand, Bitcoin has never been a larger asset than it has been. And we did a story earlier this week pointing out that Bitcoin lost something like $44 billion in market value in January. It's never even come close to $44 billion in total market cap until last year anyway. So this is kind of uncharted territory, I think, even for long-term investors of Bitcoin who have said, we've seen this before. Well, I don't think we really have seen this before.
Eric, what would be the argument to say that we're going to see a recovery?
Yeah, I think that, again, there's kind of a lot of competing ideas here. When we talk about regulation, overall, it seems the market so far has been looking at that as a negative. But at the same time, I've also heard the argument that if we get rid of some of the chaff here, some of the exchanges and businesses that don't have a good business model, whoever's left standing is in a much more solid position. So that very well might be true, but obviously the road from here to there is pretty painful. So, again, it goes back to that same idea for long-term holders of Bitcoin of, kind of holding on and, hoping for better days ahead.